Hello guys, as usual stay home, stay safe and do Excel chemistry. Alright, so now I think we're talking about the various compounds of the first group elements, and we have covered I think 5 to 6. Let's continue our next of discussion, that is very important compound, one of the very important compounds, that is sodium hydroxide. Very important, NaOH. It is also called as what? Caustic soda. As usual, the same methods of study, that is preparations, properties, uses. Okay, and if any like miscellaneous reactions are that we'll see. So first, NaOH preparations. So when I talk about preparation, we can prepare the caustic soda, that is NaOH, depending upon what source. Okay, the source material or the starting material. Okay, it depending on the starting material. Depending on starting material. What do I mean by depending on starting material? For example, basically we have sodium carbonate as a starting material and sodium chloride as a starting material. Fine. So with sodium carbonate, I have two methods of preparations. Similarly with sodium chloride also I have two methods, which we'll talk in detail in the next page. As of now, with sodium carbonate, this is my starting material. So if sodium carbonate, from sodium carbonate I wanted to prepare, I have two methods. One is called as causticization or it is also called as gaussage process. Gaussage process is one method. The other one is, it is called as Lewis process. So in both the process, the starting material is from sodium carbonate. From sodium carbonate, how do you get our NaOH? How do you prepare NaOH? In caustic or gaussage, we use calcium hydroxide. In Lewis, we use ferric oxide. That's the only difference. Apart from, no doubt, it is like, let me write the reaction straight away. Preparation under caustic, what do you find? No doubt you have sodium carbonate. In fact, we take 15 to 20% of concentrated solution. So on treating with, as I said already, calcium hydroxide, on treating with calcium hydroxide, we get calcium carbonate CaCO3 plus sodium hydroxide, and this CaCO3, couple of times we have said, like, it is soluble in water or sparingly or highly like insoluble in water. I call it as sparingly soluble. So that means what? Not completely, very little amount is soluble in water. Most of the calcium carbonate is precipitated out, and that precipitated out is in the form of mud, separated as mud. Very bottom of the container, you can see that it can be separated as mud. Okay, so calcium carbonate precipitates out very much sparingly, lessly soluble, and sodium hydroxide is completely soluble. So in the solution that I have, see what I have done, sodium carbonate solution, what is the concentration? 15 to 20% concentration. That sodium carbonate solution treated with calcium hydroxide, automatically they form. Okay, and this should be heated, in fact. Okay, it requires heating, and it is reversible reaction also. So to maintain our forward reaction, we need to see that it is 80 degrees to 90 degrees Celsius. The temperature is maintained 80 to 90 degrees Celsius. How? By passing steam. Okay, steam is nothing but boiled water, right? So hot water, so steam, which can help us to maintain the temperature as 80 to 90 degrees Celsius. Okay, so if this temperature is maintained, then only we can see that the reaction is forward and we get the NaOH. If the temperature is decreased, then the reaction could most likely be backward. Fine. So when the temperature is maintained by the steam, we see that calcium carbonate formation and sodium hydroxide, and this is our desired product. Okay, so apart from this, calcium carbonate generally precipitates out or very much less soluble in water, so this is precipitated out. But NaOH is completely dissolvable, yes or no? So this is completely soluble in water. So on your I have NaOH solution. Now from the NaOH solution I have to get my NaOH. So what do? The NaOH solution I can write it as aqueous form. Okay, the above NaOH solution aqueous form, on just heating or on evaporation to dryness, it gives me what? Sodium hydroxide plus water molecules just evaporates. Fine. So this is my sodium hydroxide, which is like flakes. It is in the form of flakes of caustic soda. Okay, so NaOH is obtained from by this way. Very simple, not a tough part, easily you can get it. But here the challenge is this: the NaOH that we have got is not pure, it is an impure form. Okay, the product contains impurities of, what are all the impurities possible? As I said, calcium carbonate is slightly soluble in water, right? So as water evaporates, this fellow cannot evaporate from NaOH, so it is present. And there is also some amount of unreacted sodium carbonate also present here, and calcium hydroxide also present here. So the product contains impurities of sodium carbonate, calcium hydroxide and CaCO3. All these things are present, of course in minute quantities, but they are present. So because of this reason, the NaOH that is present, is it pure form or impure form? Obviously it is an impure form. So that's what about Gaussian process. Now with respect to Loix process, okay, same thing, but our starting material is Na2CO3 and what is the other one? Na2CO3 plus Fe2O3, ferric oxide. So on treating with ferric oxide, this also should be heated, in fact red hot. It should be heated to what? Red hotness. The substance should be red hot. They have to be heated in such a way that it is very much red hot. And that's at that particular temperature only you will find that NaFeO2 is formed plus liberation of carbon dioxide gas. Okay, so this is our sodium ferrite. Let me write sodium ferrite. Now I don't want sodium ferrite, I want sodium hydroxide. So what I do is I take the sodium ferrite, I cool it down. See, the product that I have got is what? Will it be hot? Very hot, damn hot, right? So first I should cool this down. After cooling it, I treat with water, in fact hot water. So on cooling sodium ferrite and fused with water, treated with water, fused with water. Which water? Hot water. The scenario is something like this: NaFeO2 plus H2O, hot. On treating with this, I'll have my NaOH plus Fe2O3 is regained back. So this Fe2O3 is, as already known, it is insoluble, but this fellow is completely soluble, and this insoluble can be filtered off easily with a filter paper, or can be separated out easily, and that can be reused again here. Fine. So on a whole, NaOH is solution is obtained. So from solution, same story. From the above solution, what we do? We evaporate to dryness. To dryness and filtered off to get sodium hydroxide. So simple method. So on a whole, nothing variation or huge difference. Very simple thing is, or similarities, Na2O3, Na2O3, heating, sparingly soluble, and calcium hydroxide, Fe2O3. This is a major difference. Under Gaussian process, under causticization, we use calcium hydroxide, CaCaOH twice, Gaussian calcium hydroxide, and under Lowigs we have the Fe2O3, ferric oxide. Fine. Remaining all the process is the same. So that's what about from Na2O3. Now let's talk about NaCl. Now this NaCl, I'll give the funda first of all. So the preparation method, the fundamentals is very same. Already we have discussed it and you have studied it many a times. The principle involved in this is electrolysis. NaCl, sodium chloride solution, you take it and then perform electrolysis, right? Electrolysis of NaCl solution. Now what do you NaCl solution means? It has what? NaCl plus water. So this is passed at a high temperature. You perform the electrolysis. Current is, huge amounts of current is passed. And what does current does? Current does nothing but breaking of bonds. So NaCl. So when I perform electrolysis for these, what are all the possible ions that I get? From here I get Na plus and also I get Cl minus. Correct? From here H2O also, that also will be split off. So I get what? H plus and OH minus. So on a whole, the cations and the anions I get is these things. Now very obvious again, the cations would love to go towards the positively charged rod and negatively charged rod. The anions, negatively charged rod, would love to go to the positively charged rod. Yes or no? So we see that the movement of Na plus and H plus moves, or they are mobile towards, they mobile to what rod? Negatively charged rod, and negatively charged rod is called as what? Cathode. And the Cl minus and OH minus moves towards positively charged rod, which is anode. Now the point, very important point is this: in the medium of water, we see that the discharge potential, there is something called as what? Discharge potential of hydrogen, that is H plus, is less than discharge potential of Na plus. What do I mean by this statement? dP, or discharge potential of H plus, is less than discharge potential of Na plus. That means as compared to Na plus, H plus ions are easily discharged. I write the point as here. What is the meaning? It implies that, the above statement implies that H plus ions are discharged easily than Na plus ions. Okay, so same way, the dP of in the medium of water, the dP of Cl minus is less than the dP of OH minus ions. Now what do I mean by this point? I mean that it implies Cl minus ions are discharged easily than OH minus ions, such that, okay, How do you, I forgot again. I think this is a symbol such that in mathematics. I forgot. So I think this is for all. No, somewhere. Okay, such that I write it in words. Such that the H plus ions, they are discharged easily, right? So they come more prioritized than Na plus. Okay, they come and two H plus ions get accepts two electrons and hydrogen gas is liberated. Similarly, than Cl minus and OH minus, whose potential is lesser, Cl minus. So two chloride ions will come together and form the chlorine gas. So the bottom line, why the potentials is lesser, such that they come out as the hydrogen and chlorine gas. Okay, so I'm not writing that. I hope you understood. So funda is this. Okay, the fundamental point, whatever the process that is going happen from NaCl, electrolysis is compulsory. Now only the difference is this: we use different. See, for example, here itself I can say H plus ions is released out and H2 gas is released on a larger scale, and in the bottom Cl2 gas is coming out. So with respect to H plus and Na plus concentration is increasing more and more. In the medium, H plus ions are converting into gases, H2 gas, and leaves the system. Similarly, chloride ions converts into chlorine gas and leaves the system. And Na plus ions, with respect to them, Na plus ions concentration is increasing, and here with respect to Cl minus, OH minus ions concentration is increasing. So what do you expect? Na plus and OH minus will bond to get NaOH. Okay, now so this is the process that we get NaOH. Now the challenge, we have a challenge here. What is the challenge is, see the chlorine gas, whatever this chlorine. Okay, so normally what happens is Cl minus will lose out one electron, 2 Cl minus will lose out 2 electrons and form chlorine gas. So this is what, so the chlorine gas that is released, if it is not removed immediately, if it is not evacuated, no, this Cl2 gas will react with this NaOH. Okay, or this Cl2 can also react with sodium plus and form NaCl back. On a whole, either reacting with this or reacting with this is most likely happening. So what I should do, I should remove this chlorine gas as early as possible. As soon as the gas is formed, it should be evacuated. If it is not evacuated, it will react with these fellows and form the reverse, that is NaCl, or the chlorides and hypochlorides of sodium is formed. Okay, so on a whole, we have to see that how well we are separating the chlorine gas from getting interaction with this NaOH or Na. So to separate these two fellows, basing on the separation ways, we have the two different methods. Just by diaphragm, we just use a diaphragm between the chlorine gas and the metal. So very small perforated diaphragm, that is one way. And the other way is see that the sodium is very much busy with other metal, rather than chlorine coming and reacting with this fellow is very much busy or very much interactive. Okay, reacting with other metal, he is busy, he got busy with other metal. So basing on what is that metal and how they are separated, basing on that only we have two methods of preparation from NaCl. So let's discuss that. So from NaCl, two methods. One is the cell, that is Nelson cell, and other one is the Kastner-Kellner cell. Kastner-Kellner cell and Nelson cell. This is also called as porous diaphragm method or porous diaphragm process. Okay, and this is also called as mercury cathode, graphite is anode, yeah, mercury cathode method or process. Fine. So it is very much evident like what we are going to use in this cell or in this cell. we use a diaphragm, and here we will be using metal, that is mercury. So how exactly is happening, we'll see. So in fact there is a diagram, and I'm going to share very old videos, that is DG class videos, that I used to have once to explain to the students that a video, okay, an animation is there. So a very simple animation, you can, I'll be sharing to you guys also, it is very much available. So just look to that, how exactly the process is happening and all, you can understand it. Okay, of course I'll be explaining it. For example, in the Nelson cell, the cathode, see, for everything is it all depends upon what is the cathode and what is the anode, and what are the reactions at anode and reactions at cathode. Okay, so cathode, under the Nelson cell we have perforated steel rod or steel tube, perforated steel tube, which is lined with asbestos, lined with asbestos. This is acting our cathode. In fact exactly speaking, this entire thing and kakunda steel tube is acting as our cathode. And for anode, graphite rod. Graphite rod is the best anode. Okay, graphite rod is the perfect way to be used as anode. Okay, so what exactly is happening? NaCl solution. Okay, we cannot take NaCl, solid NaCl is not a good conductor of we have studied it. So we generally take fused NaCl or molten NaCl or solution. So in the solution, like NaCl breaks down as Na plus plus Cl minus. So first reaction at anode always starts with what? Anode, so that you can memorize it easily. So at anode, we have already discussed what is that? Chlorine minus will give chlorine plus 1 electron, and this process is called as what? Oxidation. That Cl minus, 2 Cl minus will liberate 2 electrons and form Cl2 gas. So Cl2 gas is released at anode. And at cathode, what do you observe at cathode? At cathode we see that the, pay attention, H2O, water molecules, takes these 2 electrons and forms hydrogen gas plus 2 OH minus ions. I already said what exactly H2O. We know like H2O breaks down as H plus ions and OH minus ions. Let me write here. H plus ions and OH minus ions. H plus will grab 1 electron. 2H plus will grab 2 electrons and form H2 gas. And 2 OH minus is as it is. Okay, so I'm not writing it openly, I'm writing it as water. So 2H2O plus 2 electrons. Do remember this equation. 2H2, and do not be confused. 2H2O is reacts with 2 or accepts 2 electrons and form H2 gas and 2 OH minus. And ultimately we have what? Na plus as it is and OH minus. So we have Na plus plus OH minus gives our NaOH. Fine. So this is soluble in water, and again as usual dry it, heat it and dry it, remove the water molecules, and you get the crystals of NaOH. Fine. So this is what about Nelson cell. And in Kastner-Kellner, like there is a very big tank which is containing compartments. There are 3 compartments in it. Okay, so in the 3 compartments the reaction is happening, and what is a cathode and what is anode, that is important. So cathode is mercury and anode is graphite. Now very important, mercury acts as cathode and graphite acts as anode. Mercury, as I said, the container, the big reactor or the tank, the cell is containing 3 compartments. Compartment 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'll show that in a meal time. So 1 and 3rd, the first and third, these 2 compartments, in this first and third, okay, in the first and third we see that mercury acts as cathode. In the middle compartment, mercury acts as anode. Okay, the very important point. So on a whole, right now I'm talking about mercury and graphite with respect to cathode and anode as what? When they are of outer compartments. Outer compartments. If there are inner compartments, then the story is different. What is that? Cathode and anode. For the inner compartments, cathode is the you have the iron rod, and anode is our mercury. Now why is this acting as anode is due to induction. I hope you know what is an induction. In physics you should have studied what is induction. Metals have the very much tendency to behave like, for example, magnet can make the iron magnet. How? By induction process. Okay, same way because of the flow of current, mercury behaves as anode by the induction. It is induced because of the current flowing, the mercury behaves as anode by the induction method. Okay, so point to be noted: cathode mercury, anode graphite. Where? At outer compartments. Cathode iron rod, anode mercury. Where? At inner compartment. There is only one inner compartment, and in that we see this. Okay, so as far as reactions are concerned, so we see that at anode, the chloride, as usual, 2Cl minus will form Cl2 gas plus 2 electrons, and at cathode, pay attention, what will happen at cathode? We see that the sodium ions, Na plus plus 1 electron forms sodium, and this sodium will react with our mercury, Na plus Hg, forming amalgam, NaHg. This is what our mercury amalgam. Okay, so this amalgam formed Na plus Hg gives NaHg. In the next case, that is in the inner compartment, now the reaction happens at inner compartment. At anode, the NaHg breaks down as Na plus 1 electron plus Hg. The bond is broken and the sodium loses out 1 electron. Now this at cathode, we have the water molecules as it is, so that is 2H2 plus 2 electrons will form H2 gas plus OH minus. This OH minus Na plus 2 Na plus 2 OH minus will form NaOH. So this is our ultimate reaction. Fine. And now the NaOH that is obtained here, it is just 20%, okay, concentrated. So the above solution is taken and evaporated and dried, and so solid NaOH is obtained as usual. In this case, or in this case, in previous case also, sodium hydroxide is dissolvable in water, so we have to collect the solution, heat it, evaporate the water, and the dried, then we get the sodium hydroxide. Now of course I have written, and I'll be sharing the video of the how the cell look and how does it function, and how does this cell look and how does it function. Okay, just a second. Alright, so this is how our cell of Nelson cell look like. Okay, one second, let me switch off the light. Okay, so I hope it is visible. So this is how the Nelson cell look like. Okay, and I'll explain it here itself. Of course I'll send the video, animation video, in that you'll clearly understand. So what exactly happens is, as I said, cathode and anode. Cathode is what? Perforated steel. So you can see that the steel rod, okay, the steel rod, see, you can see that the steel rod, this is what the steel rod, the outside, this is the steel rod, perforated steel rod. There are small holes, white ball type, like you can see. They are what? Perforated. Perforations means small holes. The steel rod, this is the steel rod. This acts as what? Our cathode. And the graphite rod dipped inside the solution is our graphite rod. This rod is our anode. So we pass the fresh brine. Brine is nothing but NaCl solution. Okay, fresh brine is passed into this, and when it is passed into this, and we perform, see, plus and minus. So when electricity is passed, when current is passed into this, when current is passed into this, the NaCl, the brine solution NaCl breaks down as Na plus and Cl minus. Na plus positively charged will be attracted towards the perforated. Cl minus will be attracted towards the that is chlorine gas is released out in the form of, see, you can see here, they are attracted towards the, okay. So why perforated? Because of this perforations only the sodium ions can be coming out, okay, can be coming out, and those sodium ions will be treated with the, that is we have seen this reaction 2H2O plus that is Na plus. Na plus will be treated with the OH minus. Now how does I get the OH minus? Now again, for this the steam is passed from the bottom, steam is passed. When steam is passed here, then we are providing water. So the water will absorb or will take the 2 electrons from the perforated steel rod, and it form hydrogen gas is released, okay. Hydrogen gas, see, you can see that hydrogen, it reacts and hydrogen gas is released here, hydrogen gas is released here, and then OH minus and the Na plus ions that are coming out from the perforation will form our NaOH. So here I can collect the NaOH in the basin. Clear? Okay, so this is how it is. One last time, brine coming in due to electricity, breaking of bonds Na plus and Cl minus. So Na plus through the perforations comes out, and steam is providing the water. Water takes the 2 electrons from the perforated cathode, and then it forms hydrogen gas is liberated, and OH minus and Na plus will form our base, that is NaOH at the bottom. So this is asbestos lining. I told no, asbestos lining. See, there is a white lining between graphite rod and the U-shaped tube. There is a white lining, U-shaped white lining. So that is what asbestos lining. Why asbestos lining? So that the chlorine do not get in touch, in contact with Na plus ions. Fine. All right. So this is what about NaCl. So you can very much see it clearly in the video. Okay. Same way. All right. So same way now. Castner-Kellner process you can see. So as I was saying about 3 compartments, so these are the 3, this is a very big tank. There are 3 compartments, compartment 1, 2 and 3. These are the 3 compartments which are separated by plates, okay. So these platings will separate the first and second, and this will separate the second and third. Fine. And here we have the dark black lining, you see, black lining, that is our mercury. The mercury will be flowing to and fro. The mercury can be flowing to and fro, and these white rods you can see at the left and right side, they are the graphite rods. And here compartment 1 and compartment 3, they are outer compartment. This is my inner compartment. In the outer compartments, what are the cathode and anode? Graphite acts as anode, mercury acts as cathode. Anode, cathode. But in the inner compartment, I have from the top, there is the iron rods dipped inside. So these iron rods acts as the cathode, and the mercury, that is this lining of mercury, acts as anode. Okay. So what happens in the reaction is, when the solution, that is, this is our brine solution, NaCl solution, and caustic soda, little amount of dilute NaOH is added in the central solution, in central compartment. So when the current is passed, we see that the Na plus ions break down, that is first starts with the chlorine. Cl minus ions will lose out 2 electrons, liberating the chlorine gas. Fine. And at cathode, what is cathode here? Mercury. This is the mercury, this compartment. At the cathode, we see that Na plus ions will be reacting with 1 electron that is liberated by chlorine, and they form amalgams with the mercury. So here I have like amalgams are formed here. Fine. And these amalgams which are formed, there is a, see, you can, at the bottom there is a wheel by which you can shake the entire setup. So when you shake the entire setup, the amalgams that are formed here moves to the central compartment. Same here also, whatever the amalgams form, they move to the central compartment. And here I have what the central compartment, I have sodium and mercury amalgams. So NaHg. Here NaHg, what happens in the central compartment? We see that NaHg breaks down as Na plus 1 electron and Hg. So then the water, I have caustic soda solution. Solution means caustic soda solution. Solution means what? Water is also present. So the water breaks down and accepting 2 electrons, the hydrogen gas is released, and we have the Na plus and OH minus from water forming our sodium hydroxide. So this is what happening. So 3 compartments, what is cathode, what is anode. In fact, you can see it in the animation video very clearly. Fine. So with this, the methods of preparations are done. Okay, let's talk about the properties in another video, because there are plenty of reactions. I'll make separate video, otherwise it becomes a long video.